Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be another Gravit Designer tutorial. I'm going to show you a logo exercise that I have my students use, and this is going to take the previous videos and put them into action here. So I'm going to start off by just making a 10 by 10 inch canvas. Click on Create, and I'm going to bring in a reference sheet that I've made. So File, Import, Place Image. Go find my file. Now this is something that that I've made, so you can go online and of course find your own logos that you can trace over and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to select the graphic over here on the left, and I think I'm going to come over here on the right where it says opacity, and I'll just lower the opacity a little bit just so that way you can really see things a little bit easier. I find that helpful. I'm also going to come back over here to the layers, and I'm going to lock the layer so we don't make any mistakes. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and focus in on the transformer logo up here. And it's pretty straightforward. Using the pen tool, pretty much all the rest of the face is very easy. The challenge here would be the forehead pieces, and then the top of the forehead here. You might think that you want to do this with two shapes, and you certainly could, but a more advanced way of doing it is to actually punch a hole, a triangle hole, through this other shape. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. I'm going to do the rest of the face here first, and I'll be right back. So I decided, for time-wise, I'm just going around with the pen tool, and since this is nice and straight, it's just clicking away and close it up. I'm going to remove the border, so come down here to borders and click on the little garbage can. You can also just hide it by clicking on the little eye icon, but I don't want one, so I'm going to just leave it like that. Because it's symmetrical, so the left side is the same as the right side for the most part, I can get away with doing about half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pointer tool, and with this cheek selected, I'm going to come up here to edit, and I'm going to choose duplicate, and I've got a duplicate over here. You can see it in the layers list. And then with the duplicate selected, I'm going to come up here, and you're going to see these two tools here to flip horizontal and flip vertical. So I'm going to choose flip horizontal, and then I've got the exact copy. So now I can go ahead and move it over here, and I'll change the colors so it's a little easier to see. There we go. And again, you can use the arrow keys to just nudge your shape, and there you go. All right, so I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back with more. So I'm in the process of doing the nose piece here, and because it's filling in with this color here as I'm drawing, I'm not exactly sure where to place this next point. So I'm going to use the alignment help here, and it shows that I'm in alignment there, and then I'll close it up and make a closed shape. Okay, so now I want to tweak the nose and the mouthpiece here. So I'm just going to press D, and that gives me the sub-select tool. And but I need to see the image underneath. So what do? Well, I can simply come over here to where it says fills, and I can just hide the fill by clicking on the little eyeball icon. I find that that's the easiest thing, and you can just kind of click and tweak and move things around. For my students watching this, do you have to be, exact? I would say no. It doesn't have to be pixel perfect, but try to get as close as you can. Okay, so that's looking good. Make sure if you hide a fill, make sure you bring it back. Okay, there we go. All right, so how would I do these pieces here? So I'll start off with the forehead here. Now for this curve here, I'm going to go right about in the center. Notice that I'm using the alignment there, and I'm going to just click and drag because I know it's a curved edge. And you'll notice that I get the handles here. And again, if it's sensitive for you and it feels all wobbly and it's moving all over the place, remember, hold down the Shift key. And when you hold down the Shift key, it's either going to go perfectly horizontal or perfectly vertical or at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to hold down Shift until I get it looking just right. And then I'll let go on my mouse, and then I'll do this click here. Let's click here, and remember to close it up. Now I need to see the triangle that's underneath there, so I'm going to just go ahead and hide that, and then I'll make my new shape. And close it up. Okay, I'll change the shape of the triangle so it's easier to see. There we are. And then I'll go back to the forehead and bring it back. So you want to make sure that your triangle, the cutting shape, is on top. If it's not, then come over here to layers and drag it on top. You want to be careful when you're dragging the layers around, when you're dragging them up and down. You want to really drag it not on top of not onto another layer. See how I put it right on the layer and it highlights pink? You don't want that. If you do that, you're going to make a compound shape. You're basically joining them together. You don't want that. You want to go right above where you see the kind of the pink line. Okay? So again, you want the triangle on top. So now to cut, you need to select both of these shapes. So I'm going to click on the triangle here, and then I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to click on the forehead that's below it. So I've got my two layers selected. Then I come up here to where it says Create Compound Shape, and I have four choices here. And I want to choose Subtract. And what it just did was it takes the shape that's above, that's the cutting shape, and then it cuts it out of the shape below it. Okay? Now, the advantage of not making a compound shape is that you have two color choices. So I could make the triangle one color and I could make the forehead behind it another color. However, if the project requires or the client requires for you to be able to see the background through, then you need to cut a hole through it. Okay, so if I have a background here that looks like a blue sky or something like that, or a storm, by punching a hole through it here, now I'll be able to see that. So that's the advantage there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make these shapes over here, and then I'll come back when I actually do the cutting. Okay, so you can see I've made the forehead piece and then the little cutting piece here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this vent shape here, and I'm going to do Edit, Duplicate, and then I'm just going to hold down the down arrow here until I make the second vent here. I'm going to just hide the forehead piece there so I can make sure that I'm getting it into the right spot. It's interesting, it doesn't actually line up with the reference image, so I don't know if the reference image is off, but I'm going to leave it like that just because I know it's exact. Okay, so now I'm going to come back. Okay, so I'm going to name my layers over here just so it doesn't say path, 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 path. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call this vent. And this is vent 2. And that's forehead, just so you can see how it looks or how this works. Okay, so there's the forehead. Okay, so remember, you want your cutting shapes, the shapes that are going to be doing the cutting, to be on top of the shape that's going to get cut. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's try this. Let's try cutting all three at the same time. So I'm going to select the top vent shape, hold down the Shift key, and then click on the forehead shape. So now all three are selected because I held Shift. Now if I come up here to create compound shapes and I choose Subtract, let's see what happens. Okay, so there we go. it worked. Now I can take this compound shape, which I'm going to rename as just forehead, just so it's easier. I'll do edit, duplicate. I'll then flip it. And I'll go ahead, again, I can use the arrow tool, but I'm also then going to just sit here. So I'll just grab it, get it in place, and then just kind of nudge it with the arrows. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's how I would go about doing a logo like the Transformer head. I hope this helps you out, and happy vectoring.